everybody, and welcome to Wine Library TV. I am your host, Gary Vaynerchuk, and today we are starting a week of WLTV. It's like restaurant week up in this piece, and today we're starting with a great place in Midtown, Shelley's, and we're here with Sam, the beverage director. I don't know how you roll, Andre Mack, but Andre Mack is I'm going to make him bashful a little bit here. Pretty famous Sam in these parts, and this is part of the Fireman Group, right?
Correct.
And so you're in charge of how many restaurants?
So it's about 7 restaurants.
And so
all located in Midtown.
All around the same general area, huh?
Yep.
So you don't have to take cabs, you just walk.
No, I walk. It's getting brutal now that it's cold.
So what we're looking to do this week is we're going to hit a couple of your favorite spots in NYC, give you a little bit of a tour, and really taste through what people are doing by the glass, which is, to me, if I'm wrong, probably the most exciting part of your job at some level.
Totally, because I mean, I really think that wine by the glass is basically a snapshot of your wine list. It's things that you do well, and it's things that you do well.
Yeah. Double it up. It's so important. It's so nice he said it twice. So what we're going to focus on, what we basically said is we're rolling into place and saying, why don't you show us 2 or 3 things, 4 things that represent your wine by the glass. Tell us a little bit about the wines, what your thought process was to select those wines. I think it's very interesting. I've always wished that I was on the restaurant end because I've always wanted to do a glass program. I think as a retailer we don't have that luxury. You get instant feedback from your consumers, which I think is really rad.
Totally.
And more importantly, it's a lifeline. It's like, like an email services to winelibrary.com. It's like the lifeline to a program.
Totally.
Why don't you tell us what we're starting with first?
Great. Here at Shelley's, we basically like to go through. We specialize in red wines with fish, so that's basically the thought process is to get people. There's no rules, so, I mean.
Now you know why we're here.
Totally, it's the exact same thing that you guys. There's no rules. Trust your palate, trust your instincts, and that's basically like we do. So basically, we feature lots of high acid, low wood red wines that we like to pair with fish.
So, high acid, low wood. So obviously, the Oak Monster
Correct.
is not a friend of the fish.
Correct.
Are you willing to do a with me?
All right, you ready?
Yeah. All right, good. Let's No, that was actually solid. At least you did it. I didn't. Most people are like all scared. Ellen didn't eat dirt, right? I mean, so all right. Let's get into the first one.
All right. So the first one is a Pinot Noir. Actually, this is very rare. It's called Once. So it's Once Pinot Noir, and the thought behind that is that it's an American Pinot Noir. So it's actually a blend of Oregon, wine from Oregon, and actually wine from Sonoma.
So,
which is very rare. So it's from 2 famous vineyards.
Grab a glass. You should taste along with me. There you go.
Correct. So 2 famous vineyards from the Occidental Vineyard and actually in Sonoma, and then also from Seven Springs Vineyard in Oregon.
Why did they call it Once?
Because they may not ever make it again.
Because they both had like extra juice and
they had extra juice, and basically they just combined them together to make a very food-friendly style wine.
Sure, 14.7%. They're calling it Santa Maria, California, but juice from
actually that's where it's bottled. So if you look on the front, it says American Pinot Noir, which is very rare. Lots of times you see California or you see Oregon.
A lot of people don't want to put American. So let's give it a whirl. So on the nose, classic Pinot style, a little cherry skin kind of action coming through. I'm getting a little hint of almost like raspberry tart, kind of nice. The fruit smells really fresh. I like that. What vintage? Oh no. Is it non-vintage or is it 06?
It's 06.
But is it non-vintage? Because nothing on label. Maybe because they use some grapes from 05?
It actually should be 06, but
it's not in there. It's possible. All right,
so
let's give it a whirl.
Vintage.
This one. Oh, I like the witch hunt. All right, so really nice fruit. Good back. That was hot. Good back end palate. Kind of a little austere, falls off a little bit, I feel, on the finish. Tell me what your thought process was on selecting this wine.
Well, basically, for the fruit, basically, our customers really like fruit-driven style wines, but then also you definitely get a little bit of that earthiness and minerality that you would associate with Oregon, and it definitely has acidity.
Yeah,
so that's the main. That's the main component that we were looking for.
What is this by the glass?
This is $15 about.
15, and are Pinots flying?
Yeah, Pinot is really hot in the restaurant right now. It's really hard to get anything under that.
Sure.
15.
To me, this is a solid example. I think it's kind of interesting. I love the concept of once. We're gonna do this one time. It's got good fruit. I agree with you. I think there's some really solid minerality on the back end. To me, it does fall and get a little hot on the back end if I'm going to really break it down. Again, when you're going by the glass in a restaurant, it's a totally different thought process than I think what you're doing when you're buying a bottle for retail at home. Because obviously, food becomes a much bigger, part of the equation, and two, it's much more social. I mean, people are just, waiting for their table at the bar a lot of times and getting something to drink. Good solid Pinot, an 88 type point wine to me. The fruit is fresh, the concept is rad, and it's a good start. And I'm pumped that, we're doing red wine with fish. I love it. So let's move on. All right. What do you got next?
Great. So next we're actually, this is called Rosso de Valtellina. And this is from a great producer called Sandro. It's a 2004 vintage. 100% Nebbiolo.
100% Nebbiolo, huh? I like that. And
So
what is this by the glass?
This is $12 by the glass.
Got it. Sandro makes great wine. So this is the kind of entry level Neb.
Correct.
Fay. What's going on there? Very cool. Let's give it a sniffy sniff. So it's kind of a aromatically challenged nose. It's not like bursting with aromatics.
Correct.
It's kind of tight on the nose. Real tight. 12% alcohol content. Real entry level Nebbiolos. Obviously a lot of people, really love that grape varietal when we talk about Barolos and Barbarescos. Let's give it a whirl. Some really nice fruit on the front end, a little bit of like a sour cherry component. I almost get like a little bit of green pepper on the mid palate as well. Nose-wise, a real non-factor, which is a little bit disappointing. But once again, and I'm starting to see your theme here, very fresh fruit.
Correct.
Tell me.
And definitely, the key component in all the wines that we'll taste today is acidity, and that's basically what we want to do, especially as a guest sitting at the bar. You want to have acidity to kind of open up the palate.
Sure.
To get you salivating.
And ready
that
for
kind
the
of
fish.
Correct, and building your appetite. So this is really just basically an entry level that we would use for someone who really doesn't want to spend that money on Barolo. So hence that's why the nose is a little bit shut down. It's not as aromatic or expressive as, say, Barolo or Barbaresco.
To me, of the wines that are in place here so far, I would lean towards this. Though to me, it's an 86 point type wine and nothing crazy, but it's really fresh and precise on the palate, and I like that quite a bit. It's very acidic,
Correct.
which I like, and it's high acid and it's high fruit.
Correct.
And so clearly very similar. Again, not wines that by themselves that are going to really, really destroy me or make me run out and go buy cases and cases, but in this format, I think are right for the product that you're serving it with.
Correct.
So let's move on.
So then lastly, we're actually pouring a Barbaresco. So this is 100% Nebbiolo from the famed village of Barbaresco.
Back-to-back Nebs.
2002.
So tell me the thought process with this. This is something I think people will find interesting. This is a 2002 Neb from La Spinetta. Now, 2002 in Italy was pretty much bashed as the worst bunch of crap anybody's ever seen.
Correct.
So what is the, explain, and I think this is very important. This becomes what a lot of people call in our industry a restaurant wine.
Yeah, this is what we call a restaurant vintage. Basically, the critics to be basically say that it was a bad vintage, which means that the price drops and no one buys it. It doesn't get the high ratings that the previous years that it's gotten. But the thing about it is that ratings are basically based on longevity. It's not, and it's not. It has nothing to really do with drinkability. It's about longevity, and that's part of the rating as well. So that's why I think these are accessible and ready to drink wines now. And that's why we have 2002.
As a matter of fact, this is, and we've talked about off vintage on the Thunder Show before. When there's off vintage and there's great producers, bright buyers are going to taste across. And I'm sure you tasted tons,
Correct.
dozens and dozens of O2s, and they were crap.
Totally.
But this is where trusting your own palate and not going by the press really comes through. A lot of you all, want to seek out 2005 Bordeaux. I get it. 97 cabs. 01, Brunello Reservas. I get it. Makes sense if you want to put them away and do that whole wine cellar thing like we saw with Jay Rosen the other day. However, if you're drinking early, and because the market is so fickle and people really jump off the bandwagon, This is the kind of vintage. I mean, Andre, in the scheme of things, compared to the '01 version without the exact price, what kind of percentage discount was this wine? And if you can recall, in the generation?
Probably about 40%.
I mean, you're talking about huge mood swings. Like Mott. Mott gets really cranky sometimes if we don't feed him or he drinks his coffee. So, you get mood swings. This is a market mood swing. I mean, this is a wine that traditionally, it's pretty expensive, the last Spinetta wines, the Barbaresco, right? I mean,
Yeah.
is this a straight Barbaresco?
It's straight Barbaresco. It's Village, and it's $19 a glass.
I mean, that's pretty, whereas clearly, at a place like Shelley's, the '01 was probably a $32, $33 by the glass kind of wine.
Correct. Or we wouldn't have been. It was so expensive we couldn't even serve it by the glass.
Correct. Let's give it a sniff.
Yeah, totally different than,
Awesome.
than the other one. Yeah, just very expressive.
This is like bubblicious. I mean, this smells like bubble gum. I mean, like flat out, like old school Big League Chew cherry style bubble gum coming through. Real candy-esque, almost like melted down. You know those icicles, the red ones that the pops that you like. What are they called? Mott, help me here.
Icicles.
No, not icicles. I just said that. What is it? Anybody? Flavor sticks or something? What are they?
I have no idea.
All right,
Flavor
stick
pops.
with me here. The the ice pops that are soft and then you put them in the freezer, they get hard. When you melt it back down, it gets juicy. Flavor ice. Thank you. So that's what's coming through on the nose with a lot of bubble gum. A lot, actually.
Totally.
Let's give it a whirl. Opportunity rings in all vintages. It is the classic thing in the wine industry that nobody gets. When a vintage gets panned, there are always dozens, not one or two, dozens of diamonds in the rough. This is a very interesting wine because it's really Jekyll and Hyde. Very fruity up front, but on the back end, some really severe, I mean, the mouth pucker move all day, really dry, really high in acid, really old school. This is really for an old world fan on the palate, but a new world fan on the nose. Double bubble, you know what I think about that? I mean, this to me is a really great example. And now I'm going to start doing some homework. And when I'm done at the end of the day, seeing if we can find some for Wine Lib. I mean, to me, this is a classic 90 type point Barbaresco that, is showing extremely well. However, you can definitely tell it doesn't have the tannin or the backbone structure to last like this producer's wines normally last. I mean, to me, this is a wine that you consume really now over the next 2 or 3 years.
Totally.
Anything else about a wine list, a restaurant pour by the glass you want to mention, or anything of your thoughts of where the market is with things of that nature?
Wine by the glass is actually changing over the last 5 years. Before it was always people were just pouring swill or pouring off different things, and now I really feel like people have stepped up their game. People are willing to pay a premium, just like people are willing to pay $20 for a martini.
Understood. I mean, really, I compare wine by the glass by the end caps in retail fine wine shops. Retail fine wine shop end caps used to be the closeouts and the things you were trying to get rid of, and now you've got to show your face. Same thing with wine by the glass. I think that's where you dumped, and now it's your face to your entire program.
Correct.
Mac, thank you so much.
All right, buddy.
Question of the day. What is your favorite restaurant to drink wine at? Because you, with a little bit of me and a little Andre Mac, we're changing the wine world.
Welcome to Wine Library TV. I'm your host, Sideshow Mark. Today I'll be tasting a wine I've been looking forward to, the 2002 Rubicon State Proprietary Red. Wine enthusiasts scored this wine 98 points. I'm eager to give it a try. I have a half bottle here because at 68 bones, that puts the wine within my price limit of $75 a bottle, and I have to pay for my own wine. The bottle's been open about 2 hours, with a little poured off the top to increase the surface area. That improves the breathing. I'll just give the glass a rinse here. One thing that I like about half bottles is that it gives me an opportunity to try wines I wouldn't ordinarily have had the chance to taste, because the price of the full bottle is just outside my budget. So let's give this wine a try.